Welcome to Goonie's World. My name is Goonie, also known as Colin, and I am joined by Johnny Farrow, also known as Sean.
Hey, hey, hey.
And Loonicorn, also known as Lynn.
Hello.
And our game master for this series, Meanie, also known as Ryan.
That's right. And for this series, we are diving into a world that none of us can pronounce, or at least a system that none of us can pronounce. As you may have deduced from the slightly different intro music, or what I'm assuming will be slightly different intro music.
Some metal.
Yeah, we're playing a game, a Swedish game called, and Swedish people forgive me, but I believe it is pronounced something to the effect of MÖRK.
And I say MÖRK. I know something about that G on the end that's weird, but we're Americans, so we don't know.
I'm just going to call it MB.
MB.
But
Mark.
However,
Mark.
online it seems like most Americans call this game MÖRK. But
Close enough. Or Mork.
I think all Americans should say it BORG, because that's what it looks like
BORG.
to me.
Nanu.
That's right.
Just ignore those little dots. They don't mean nothing in English.
They mean metal in English.
Yeah, they mean metal. That's exactly what they mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, this game is bedecked with umlauts, and what else?
And grim, perilous adventure. And it is rather grim for all of you at the moment, because you have been imprisoned in this horrible dungeon of the Shadow King for unspeakable heresies of various kinds. What specifically that is will be left up to you. But let's get to know your characters just a wee bit, shall we? Why don't we start with Sean? Who are you? Who will you be playing this evening?
I am Keftar. I am a member of the wretched royalty. And I was a young prince once, till I was kidnapped. West of the Bergen Crypts, I disappeared, was gone, walked on many long, dark roads I will not tell. And I have a permanent phlegm deposit in my throat from nerve damage, and I'm constantly coughing and snorting and spitting and swallowing because of that. I'm somewhat ruthless, and I know that not everyone has my noble blood. I rolled my character with some cool stuff, but I don't have any stuff right now because I'm unjustly imprisoned, because because my terrible heresies, I dispute the validity of Psalm 2, I believe 2.2, and the ground pale with maggots is not meant to be taken literally. It refers to all bugs. This is heretical, so I've been thrown in prison.
Yes, and just for the edification of anybody who happens to be listening who knows the system, these are all, I believe, randomly generated by the Scumbirther, and we did generate them with their possessions and such. But of course, being in prison, they do not have them at the moment. So Colin, what about you?
Yeah, so I rolled up Eldar, the occult herb master. He is from the heretic isle of Krellet, 2 nautical miles east of Grift. Born of the mushroom, raised in the glade, watched by the eye of the moon in a silver-black pool. And I have, some say, an inferiority complex and am cruel. I have long tangled hair and at least one cockroach in residence. and I am a nihilist. I insist on telling everyone that I am a nihilist and explaining why. Yeah, and he would have, if he wasn't imprisoned, he would have a portable laboratory full of all kinds of materials that he can make these dedoctions or whatever, decoctions. Actually, 2 random ones per day, and I can roll a total of D4 doses. But I have to use them within 24 hours or they lose their vitality.
Well, that will undoubtedly come in handy when it is magically bequeathed upon you at some point. So, Lynn, that leaves you.
All right, well, I will be playing Belloom this evening, and the series, I don't know why I'm talking like this, but I just wanted to, that I am.
That's fine.
Belloom is a fanged deserter. My earliest memories are of a brothel in Schwelzreg. Quite a friendly environment. I have 30 or so friends who never let me down. My teeth. I'm disloyal, deranged, or simply uncontrollable. Any group that did not boot me out, I left anyway. But my parliament of teeth, enormous, protruding, thick, and sharp, have always been my allies. Belloom is deceitful and loudmouthed. I have a red, swollen alcoholic's nose. And my best friend is a skull. I call him Scully. I carry it with me. I tell him everything because I trust no one else.
Perhaps you dug him off the floor of the prison, who knows?
Yeah, that might be a kind of thing that could be lying around in a prison, right? Especially
definitely this kind of,
especially a grimdark
that's
prison.
True.
Yeah.
Yes, my other stuff, my other friend, I do have another friend, too, who probably will not be in prison with me. He is an ancient gorehound by the name of Fox. So I have Scully and Fox are my friends besides my teeth. Poor Fox is asthmatic, deluded, and on his last legs. He still has a superb nose, though, and can sniffle up treasure. And he does, in fact, bite. And he becomes frenzied around goblins and berserkers. I am what you would call clumsy and dull-witted. And I bite people.
I was going to say, with those teeth, you probably a little bitey yourself.
I do. I bite people. It's one of the things that I do.
It's funny.
I can't wait to bite someone.
It's funny because in generating these characters on the Scumbirther, I kept clicking and trying to get one that wasn't gross somehow or had terrible qualities, and then I realized they all are gross and have terrible qualities. And one of the most
that's the point.
One of the most common weapons I thought was funny was a femur.
Yes, femur,
Yeah.
very common.
Yeah.
Very common weapon. So the four of you are imprisoned in basically this large dungeon. Is not, I mean, not dungeon in the Dungeons and Dragons sense, but certainly dungeon in the dank, smelly. There's excrement holes on the floor to do your business in, but I mean they're just so full, and there's just shit all over the floor, and there's bones and rats everywhere, and so they're basically, this is a large square room divided into 4 cells. Okay, and whether you guys know each other or not is up to you. In fact, what cell you are in, 1 through 4, is up to you. You can determine that randomly. If it's really up to you. I mean, if you are in the same cell with somebody, perhaps you've been there for a while and you have gotten to know them, or I don't know how well you would like them particularly, but basically, we just need to kind of figure out where everybody is.
I'd like to
Maybe they're on the same cell.
I'd like to suggest it makes it maybe a little cleaner and easier, and would make more sense if we already knew each other a little bit because we happened to have been thrown into the same cell. So we probably on speaking terms already, at least.
Even though they lack noble blood.
Yeah.
All right.
I can roll a d4 and see which one we are all in.
Why don't you do that?
4.
4. Okay. So 4. I guess I can't really explain. So basically, these 4 cells are arranged. Well, of course, nobody can see how our video tiles are arranged on the screen here, but it's two to a side, right? And there is a door on one side and a door on the other side, and a pathway that runs basically through the middle. And anytime there's a fight and somebody gets killed or whatever, the cart will come out of the right hand side and travel down and will go right to left. They only ever go right to left from your perspective in your cell, and you're in the the last 2 on the left are 3 and 4, and that's where you are. So when they come through, and as they are, as a matter of fact, just now doing as dawn has broken, and there are high up windows. So you are actually below ground, but this prison sort of protrudes just above ground, and there are little teeny tiny windows way up near the ceiling where just a little bit of natural light can get in. And as happens every morning just around the break of dawn, the door opens, the right-hand door opens, furthest from you, of course, and they begin pushing this cart. There's 4 guards, one of them pushing this cart, and there's one on either side. There's a giant sort of trough of slop food, but not that anyone outside of this prison would eat. And they literally have these large ladles, and they just scoop a scoop and throw one every couple steps. And as the door opens in cells 1 and 2, on the right hand side of the room, people scramble to get up, and they're holding out their hands, and a couple people have bowls, and they're holding them up, and they'll swing this ladle, and somebody will catch some slop and start eating it, and some of it gets on the floor, and some of the people who didn't catch any or just licking it up off the floor. I mean, yeah, it's pretty bad, and because it gets on the floor and it mixes with the shit and the rat. I mean, it's horrible, but there's nothing else to eat, right? I mean, that's all you got. And they proceed down this corridor and eventually get to your side, the left hand side of the room, and begin plopping these ladles full of food into cells 3 and 4, and of course you are in cell 4, the 3 of you. Do any of you have a bowl? You could. There's a 1 in 6 chance.
I don't have a bowl.
No. I've got my
I do not have bowl.
hands cupped. That's what I do.
Yeah.
All right. Well, everybody could make a. Oh my god! I forgot I forgot what DR stood for. Difficulty rank.
Difficulty something, yeah.
Difficulty rating. I kept thinking
Rating.
it meant because of other systems we've played. I kept thinking every time I see DR, I think damage reduction,
Damage resistance.
or damage
Yeah,
resistance.
Yeah,
Or something.
yeah.
But yeah, you can make a DR6 agility test to attempt to catch some of this slop as it gets winged in your direction from this disgusting cart.
Okay.
Well, I
and we
ate myself. So I
we
got
would roll a d20 and add which stat?
Agility.
Oh, agility. Okay. And I got a 6, so that gets it right on there, I think.
Okay, I rolled a 14, but I have a -2 to my agility.
That's still
And I
greater than a
also-
6.
Okay, well, I also have a plus. Okay, it's still okay. It's good because I also have a +2 difficulty rating to all agility tests.
Oh,
excluding
wow.
defense. Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so
clumsy and dull-witted, but still, that's only a.
10.
I still got
You would have yeah. So you would have needed an 8, and you got a 12. So yeah, good enough. So yeah, you guys all managed to get some nice cupped handfuls of this horrible slop, and there are people around you, kind of looking. I mean, they're not going to attack you for it, but there's some who didn't get any at all. There's some licking it up off the floor. The parts that have escaped through your fingers and stuff. You may choose to be kind, or you may just eat it all up yourself. It doesn't really matter. Nothing will happen either way.
Nothing ever matters, that's what I say. I don't care what becomes of me. I will eat this slop and enjoy my fate here forever.
I also believe it doesn't matter. I once dined on delicacies in the Black Castle, and now I'm reduced to this. What a terrible, grim, dark world this is.
They don't share. If you can't get it yourself, then you don't deserve it.
So the cart has just disappeared off the left-hand side. The door closes with a clank behind them. And just as it does, somebody roll a d4.
3.
Hey, I rolled it 2 at the same time as you, but I also got a 3. 3 is our fate.
Yes. Well, 3 is the cell directly across the corridor from you. And in that cell, you hear someone begin screaming. And there's a little bit of a ruckus. Now, you can sidle up to the bars and try to peer out across, but you can't really see what's going on. But there's just this horrible screaming happening. Death screams of somebody dying. Clearly, they must be. And it's like a high school fight, right? Like a circle of prisoners, surrounds them, and then almost. But as soon as this circle of prisoners sees what's going on, they begin to quickly back away, and you can see. There's a chance that I was only going to let it happen if you guys were in the same cell, and you're not. So you see this body lying on the floor, and it's not a body for the first few seconds that you see it, and then it very quickly becomes a body as you see its abdomen is almost looks like it's boiling. Stomach and chest just kind of little what's like waves, almost like the surface of the ocean. Mm-hmm. And you can see that there's like a hole near where the belly button would be, and you can see there are like entrails hanging out of this hole, and then there's kind of somebody kicks this corpse, one of the bystanders, and all of a sudden just dozens of rats flee out this hole in this person's abdomen. Apparently they thought he was dead or something, and started eating him alive.
Lovely.
Delicious. But fortunately not in your cell. And the door on the right clangs open, and these 4 guys come pushing a cart, as they always do. Now this time there's no trough of food on it, and they come down and collect the body of this guy and put it on the cart and wheel it over to the other sort of doors on the left and wheel it on out. And the door shuts behind them.
Excuse me, it does give one ideas, though, doesn't it?
We should be so lucky to end up a corpse with rats bursting out of us. There are worse fates.
That's true.
What do you think, Scully? Did you see what happened to the man with the boiling guts?
Oh,
It is very traumatizing, is it not?
Here she goes talking to that skull again.
He's my best friend. Oh, Scully thinks it does give one ideas. Scully's very smart.
You're weird.
So the rest of the morning passes without further incident, but before what seems like it should be lunchtime, the door on the right-hand side opens again, and this time 4 guards come out, but they're trailed by this robed old man who has he's got like long gray hair and a long gray beard, rather emaciated looking, but his eyes are all milky and white. You can't discern a retina or pupil or anything. And they slowly lead him down the corridor, and they stop at the first cell, and he kind of waves his hand. I realized I was doing this where you guys could see it, but I wasn't describing what I was doing.
he's showing.
Anybody listening is going to be like, what the fuck was that?
You are acting without dialogue. Yeah.
Right. But he waves his hand in the direction of this first cell, and he kind of turns back to the 4 guards, and he shakes his head, and they lead him over to the second cell, and he does the same sort of thing, and waves his hand, almost like he's looking for something, and again he shakes his head, and they begin leading him further down the corridor towards you guys.
He is blind, but he sees.
He's a diviner or oracleist of some sort.
Well, what will he see with us? I don't know. I don't know you people very well.
I know that his greatness in my soul, as I have noble blood, and he will see it.
Well, they get to your half of the room, and first towards cell 3, and again repeats the whole process, waving his hand. He shakes his head, and then they turn around and face cell 4, and again he waves his hand, but then he kind of stops. He points directly at oh god, I forget all your names. I should have written them down. Bellum. He points directly at Bellum. And,
Bellum.
Bellum. I apologize. I can. Do I have to say it in the accent too? But he points directly at Bellum and says, "This one." And they come in, and they, when you're in the cell, you're unrestrained, you're not shackled or anything, but they shackle your arms and legs and lead you out into the corridor with them.
What is the meaning of this?
He said he's a diviner who can sense the dumb and clumsy, apparently, rather than the gifted and noble.
Oh, that's very, very funny. You should be a comedian. Ha 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 ha.
Well, you quickly get a smack upside the back of your head, and the guard says, "Quiet you. It'll be explained soon enough." And he kind of elbows the old man with the beard, who again begins waving his hand in the direction of cell 4.
I'll be kind of trying to angle my body, me, no, without saying anything.
Well, interestingly enough, that's exactly where he goes next. He points to Kaftar, and he says, "This one." And they do the same thing with you. They shackle you, your arms and legs, and they I don't assume they'd have to drag you out of the cell, but they lead you out in any event.
Obviously, he could see more than the dumb and clumsy.
You are being chosen for sacrifice. I'll never see you two again. Goodbye, friends.
Sir, I recommend this fellow right here. He's a first class bargain. I've worked with him before.
Somebody roll a d4.
Got one right here in my hand. 3. Again.
So as soon as Eldar says that they're being, taken and chosen for sacrifice, another bit of a ruckus breaks out across the hallway in cell 3, and there's somebody shouting, and you see this. There's this naked man. I mean, many people in this prison are naked, so it's not a huge surprise. But he begins shouting, and it's almost incoherent, but he's like screaming something about having done the calculations, and a misery of Necrobell is due this day, and he's just like kind of freaking out and going nuts, and like several of the people in the cell with him are like beating at him, trying to get him to shut up, but he's shouting incoherently about Necrobell and how a misery will come this day, and they very quickly, the guards kind of ignoring that, prod the old man into continuing his search, which he does. He begins waving his hand as before, and he, as you might have guessed by now, points at Eldar and says, "This one." And you are, as the others, shackled arms and legs and led out into the corridor. So the three of you are now out there, and the ruckus in cell 3 is beginning to sort of crescendo. This guy is just screaming. He begins screaming in tongues, and it sounds very heretical, likely. And so they quickly elbow this guy a couple times to start checking again, and he's waving his hand, and he kind of shrugs, and he says, "There are no more." And with that, you are led through the door on the left, where so many carts, these long months and or years, you have seen them go through, but never quite, always kind of wondered what was through there. But you are led through there, and down a little hallway, and into a kind of a dark room, where you are all sort of seated on the floor, and one of the guards is left in here with you, along with the old man. And he says, the guard, he says, "Right, so you were all due for execution, yeah? Heresies, all that?"
Yes, I suspected as much.
Yes, I believe that was the plan. The best plan I had was execution.
Well, this man here is a courtier of the Shadow King. He's they call him the Seer, and he sees things, as you might have surmised. And he sees potential greatness in you.
Ha!
So,
Well, that is understandable, of course.
Now he must be a comedian.
No, I believe that, of course.
well, you probably are not aware of this, but the Shadow King's son and only heir, Aldon, has gone missing. We have a pretty good idea where he is. You're going to go get him, bring him back.
I don't know if you know this about me, Great Seer. I myself was kidnapped as a child. So this cuts to the very bone of who I am. I will gladly seek after this missing child.
Very well, because of course, if you fail in your task, the king's only remaining heir is his idiot brother. And that wouldn't be good for anybody. The realm, least of all. The crown. So, go and retrieve Aldon. He's been, we believe, being held in a place called the Accursed Den. We don't know much about it. The seer here can possibly tell you some things about it before you embark upon your journey. And of course, you will be equipped. We've got a room here which you can randomly choose treasure that you've already selected, or equipment that you've already selected.
You say, what was his name, Aldon?
Yes, Aldon.
He was gone missing and has been located in this accursed den.
Well, we're not certain that's where he is, but we have good reason to believe that is where he is being kept. Held might be a bit of a strong word.
So someone or something has sway over him and is...
Possibly, or he's only slightly less of an idiot than his uncle.
I don't care what becomes of me, but a change of scenery might be nice. And if I could find some materials for my decoctions, I might be satisfied.
Well, it just so happens you, in this room over here with the... I've been looking through the gear he mentioned. Is this what you need right here? It looks like some kind of portable laboratory. Oh.
Yes, I, as an occult master, am very familiar with a portable laboratory. I can make all sorts of brews and decoctions.
And look what I have found. He pulls out this sword that was like hidden in the back. Look, it's the family crest of the House of Keftar. This is the blade of my ancestors. And he swings it around a few times.
What are you doing? The sword speaks as you swing it.
Are you talking so?
Oh, what does it look like? And who the hell are you, and what are you doing swinging me around like that?
Oh, this is not how I...
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear. Well, how about this, you? I grab the sheath and I put him in it. He can... I'll take sass out of you, and I need to cut some throats.
Well, I will not be going anywhere without my faithful hound.
And, yes, so...
I wish to have my fox back.
Oh, look.
Your fox. Yes. They just so happen to have your hound. Yeah, so, but, well, you must be a fairly recent, because if this is the one that, the dog that you came in with, maybe they just kept him alive for you. But yes, we will hand wave a bit here, and just, you are bequeathed with all of the stuff that you rolled up in the beginning.
They've been keeping him in the kennel.
Hope that we can find a lozenge for my friend Keftar here.
It won't help, as I say. It's a matter of nerve damage.
Ryan's showing us some cough drops. Meanwhile, ironically, to get this voice, I'm literally like chain smoking through this, and it's the worst idea I've ever had. This is gonna be my. I'm gonna take it easy after this. I've completely screwed up my voice, kids. So, yeah.
But before you go, the seer may see things if you would like him to.
I would.
Yes. Tell us what you see. Even though
roll.
Scully probably knows better, but...
Well, Scully doesn't have... Well, Scully's eyes are just as good as the seer's, I assume. So, but if someone would like to roll a d8.
Oh, I have a d8 right here, and I rolled a 6.
Something hungers in the depths. An enormous creature, like a vast intestine.
But where's this creature? Are you speaking of this accursed den?
Yes.
I thought the Accursed Den might have more like an ottoman, maybe a small desk, an entertainment apparatus. So I thought it was that kind of a den. This is going to be worse than I thought. I don't like the sound of a fast intestine at all.
And you may get one more vision from the seer if you would like.
Yes, what? See you.
I rolled a 7.
It seems Aldon may be unwilling to leave this place.
Yes, he is under the sway.
Either that or he has run away because he does not want to face responsibility as ruler.
Yes, could be. We will have to influence his mind.
Let's assume that we are successful. What does that mean?
I will not
for
assume
us
such things.
when we bring him back?
When the guard steps back in and he says, well, you will have earned yourself your freedom and a pretty penny as well. Plus whatever you find in the den, I suppose is yours to keep.
This sounds acceptable.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yes, but I have no doubt in my own ability. I'm worried that without noble blood in my companions' veins, that they will quail or fall short when they are measured in the final.
Oh, yes. Most assuredly we will.
But, and
Do not quail.
a further
I
question.
eat quail.
A further question. This accursed den, is its location known? Or is it a lost place?
Oh, yes, we know precisely where it is, and we will drop you off just outside the door.
Excellent.
So, are you ready to go then?
Yes, just let me grab this water skin and this hand axe and this fur armor looks nice. Yeah, there we go. This bear trap could come in handy.
Warhammer I shall wield.
Life elixir, right?
I shall
Oh,
grab myself a water skin and some food and hand axe and little bit of armor, sack, carry things in, and lantern. And oh, look at this exquisite perfume. I would like to have that.
Yeah.
Help us, Silver.
I see they have my noose that I had when I first came in. They kept it all these years. I might need that. I will take it with me.
You never know when it'll come in handy. So
I'm going to
you
give myself a little spritz of the perfume, the exquisite perfume.
lovely.
Exquisite.
So
Exquisite.
by now it's a little bit after lunchtime, and you guys are all taken outside. When it started kind of raining, and it's not really thunderstorming, but the sky has gotten a little bit dark, and it looks like it might storm, which is unfortunate because you are not allowed out of the chains. In fact, you are put in this wagon, and when I say wagon, literally like an open air, wagon, drawn, by a horse, and in fact, a heavily armored guard is in there with you. Of course, he's not chained up. He's but he's sitting there, and an entire detachment of guards. Now, these are not prison guards. These are, military forces that have been conscripted from the Shadow King's army. And there are 6 of them on horseback, along with, a couple prison guards that are in charge of the wagon. And these guys are basically here to make sure you don't run away, right, or do anything shady. And you take off through the forest with this detachment of the King's mercenaries or King's military, and the couple prison guards, and you ride in this wagon, and it's horribly uncomfortable. First of all, it's like I said, it was raining, and so you're getting soaked and cold, and it's just unpleasant. And then eventually it does kind of start storming, lightning, and
what a lovely change of scenery.
Yeah, it's just horribly unpleasant, bumpy, and you're constantly at risk of being thrown out of the wagon, but you are not, fortunately. And by just about dusk, and this is a long ride, you are a long way from the prison at this point, but you do arrive at this little sort of clearing and I should have mentioned, you're riding through thick woods basically the whole way, a thick forest, and you arrive at this sort of clearing in the forest where you can see a sort of pit in the ground and some stairs leading down into darkness, and this is where you stop. And the prison guard, the heavily armored guy who's been riding in the wagon with you the whole time, gets up and stretches, and he's obviously not been comfortable this whole time either, but he begins unlocking your chains, because you've been chained to the wagon. So had you fallen out or something, they probably would have stopped and put you back in, but they may have dragged you for some period of time as well. Fortunately, that didn't happen. And you were all sort of unshackled and gathered around this sort of staircase descending into darkness. And this regiment of military guys basically are just kind of standing there or sitting there on their horses, staring at you, and one of them kind of points at the staircase.
This is it.
You don't have to tell me.
But before we descend down these stairs, I must roll to see what deductions I can come up with. See what I can make.
Yeah, you should do that.
So it says daily you have the materials to create 2 randomly determined decoctions, and there are 8, so I'm just assuming just roll a d8 and find out which 2 I can make. So
sounds reasonable to me. I don't without spending any time looking it up, I think that sounds perfectly reasonable.
yeah, I mean it's just on my character sheet, list of decoctions, and there's 8, so let's see. Well, 1, I have made red poison, which it says
fatal.
toughness DR 12. So I'm assuming the enemy that is poisoned will have to make that toughness test, and if they fail, it's negative D10 HP.
Nasty. Okay.
Okay, and let's see what else. 7. I have created hyphos and enervating snuff. It will make whoever consumes it go berserk. Get 2 attacks per round, but defend with DR 14 and last 1 fight. Must be snorted, causes sneezing.
Well, then let's get snuffed up.
Oh.
Got some marshmallow snuff.
Marshmallow snuff.
Enervating snuff. I'll draw my sword.
Then are you ready to taste blood this day if necessary? Sword of mine.
Or do I have to for you?
Yes, for me. You're the sword of my ancestors. You're fated to be with me.
And before you answer, I shove him back in the sheet.
I can't hear you. La 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 la. Oh, the basilisk had a little basilisk. Blah blah blah. Can't hear him. Well, I suppose this Aldon's not going to rescue or re-kidnap himself, is he? We best get on.
Yeah.
And so, it sounds like you descend the staircase. And
descend.
When you get to the bottom, you find yourself in a sort of a pentagonal room that gets wider and out in front of you. Hanging from the ceiling, there is an oil lantern, which is lit, providing plenty of light. And there's a small stream of water running from right to left, just like, you know, in the prison, the corridor ran right to left, and they always, you know, the guards would always go right to left. The stream is running right to left across, you know, bisecting the room. And you can see, you know, sort of little holes in the walls at the floor level where this little stream flows into and out of the room. And there are all these sort of black and purple butterflies flitting around randomly over this little stream of water. And in front of you, across the stream, which is coincidentally to the north, there are two wooden doors, one on the left, one on the right, which are both not shut. They're slightly ajar. And you can hear just very faintly the sound of a violin playing coming from both of those slightly open doors.
The butterflies dance to the sound of the violin. Does the stream look narrow enough to leap over to you two?
No, you could just step over it, really.
Perhaps the butterflies are drawn to the stream, for it contains nectar or something.
Take a drink. Take a drink and find out.
Yes, I will. It matters not. I will drink of the stream.
Tastes like nice, cool, fresh water, but it does not.
It's probably a step up from
Have
the
any
water
effect.
that we got in the
Let's
prison.
all have a nice.
Definitely an improvement. Yes.
Let's all have a nice. Let's all have a nice drink of water.
Butterfly water.
Yes,
Delicious.
I will have drink, and so will Fox. Scully, do you want some water?
No,
I will pour a little bit of water down Scully's, or into his mouth. I can't say down his throat.
It just falls right out.
And
the
it just
hole in his
falls
chin.
right out the other end.
So, we'll push our way through the butterflies then.
And the violin's coming from both doors, so probably they lead
Yeah.
into the same room or eventually go to the same.
I always say it's best to go left.
And I always say it matters not.
You do.
Left it is, then.
I'm totally trying to keep like an old school D&D like mapper dungeon map. Like I'm like drawing a little pentagon room and drawing. I'm trying to do that just for my own amusement.
Nice.
So
All right.
if we have to run away, I'll know which way to go.
Hopefully. So you proceed into the towards the slightly open door on the left, which you, I presume, opens slightly wider, revealing kind of a large dining hall. It's kind of warm in here. It's brightly lit. This does not smell good. It smells probably better than the prison, but yeah, it does not smell good. There are 4 giant oil lamps and a large wooden table with 20 chairs, and it's completely set with, like, mugs and plates and silverware, etc. But it's all empty. There's no food, no drink, nothing. It's been set, though, clearly. And at the far end of the table, and I possibly should have mentioned this first, at the far end of the table, at what could be considered the head or the foot of the table, depending on how you look at it, there's a man sitting there with a long gray beard, dark eyes. He's kind of just, they're open, they're not closed, they're just kind of staring into nothing. And he's wearing this, like, hood and cloak, and he's kind of covered in dust. The cloak and the hood are kind of covered in dust. And he's just sitting there. He doesn't seem to notice you at all. He doesn't look dead, but he doesn't particularly look alive. He's just sitting there. And there are 3 doors out of this room. One straight ahead, which would be to your north, which is closed. And one to the east, which would be your right, which is closed, and of course behind you, where you just came from, to the south.
Hello. I'll just snap my fingers in front of that fella's face.
He just sits completely motionless.
He's under an enchantment.
Yes, he slumbers for eternity under a spell.
I will, the door in the east wall was... I know the one in the north wall's closed. Is the one in the east wall...
It is closed as well.
It's closed as well. I'll go, like, put my ear to each one and see which one sounds like the violin's coming more from.
Good call. So the violin music is definitely coming from the north door.
What does this old man, what is he wearing?
He's wearing, like, a hood and cloak, like almost like a wizard's sort of hood and cloak. But he's clearly been sitting here wearing them for some time because they've gathered quite a bit of dust.
Dusty.
Okay.
But he appears alive, like he's breathing and stuff.
Yeah, just
Maybe
completely catatonic.
he needs a drink of this nice, fresh butterfly water.
This is a good idea.
He must be very parched after all these years.
But I don't think I do have a water skin, if I can retroactively say I put some of that water in my water skin. Or I could just go back and get some, but...
Yeah, either way
We
is
should
fine.
probably all go fill up our water
Yeah.
skins out of that.
This guy doesn't need a drink.
Yeah. But I will, just for humor, I will, pour some of this water down his throat. I'll try to, like, open his mouth a little bit and give him a little pour.
You are able to open his mouth a little bit, and you put your water skin up to his lips, and most of it, or as far as you can tell, what it appears is that most of it just falls down his chin, which washes away some of the dust in rivulets down his chin. Some of it may have gone down. You can't tell. He does not swallow, make any sort of motion with his Adam's apple. So if anything went down, it either went down his lungs and he's not coughing or choking or noticing, or but he does not react in any way.
There you go, old man. You're welcome.
If we're done with charity, might I suggest we go through this north door and find our strange violinist?
Yes, we must be on our way now.
Good luck with the catatonia.
So who's going first?
I will, because I am the most noble.
All right, well, you try the door to the north, and it opens silently, revealing a long, dark, cold corridor with a light far down at the opposite end. And the violin music is quite apparent at this point. And you can see there are several paintings lining the walls. They appear to be rather bland landscapes of kind of, they're nondescript almost.
Probably
like
AI.
landscapes.
Probably AI.
Oh, I was just say like hotel room paintings or something.
Or yeah, exactly. And so yeah, at the end of this corridor, some distance away, you can see this light. And that's
towards the light.
Well, when it's time, it's time.
who has the highest presence as you creep down this corridor?
Not me. I got minus two presents.
+0 for me.
+0 for me also.
Hey, you're lucky to have a +0 in this game.
It's true.
Well, one of you, I don't care which one. You can fight amongst yourselves, but one of you make a DR14 presence test.
Well, I'll go ahead and roll. Only got a 10.
Yes, you see nothing unusual or out of the ordinary. But you proceed down the corridor and into the room where the light was located. And I'm going to need somebody to roll a d4.
Goonie's so good at rolling d4s. Let him roll a d4. I'm just going to get another 3.
Now 4.
All right. Well, you've walked down the corridor towards this light into this strange-looking room. And as you do so, from the ceiling drops down a massive spider, the size of a large dog. And if you look up towards the ceiling, you see it's got a nest up there made of bones. Mm-hmm. And you're going to need to roll initiative. But you know what? I think we can do that when we come back for the next episode.
All right, then.
Hey everybody, if you like our podcast, don't forget to leave us a good rating and or review on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, Spotify, or wherever you're able. Subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter at Goonies_world, and check out our website at GooniesWorldPodcast.com. Email us at GooniesWorldPodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.